This one mistake I made in sim racing has slowed me down for almost a year, until I fixed it. And how did I fix it? Well, it was completely by chance. This comes down to brake stiffness, and it's important for you to understand my reasoning for making this mistake. So hopefully you can really understand the error I made and how I came to making that error and how I came to correct it. As I'm just an average sim racer, and that's probably why you watch me, because let's be real, who wants to watch 10k I-rating sim racers race each other with no mistakes, laser precision? Must be fun for them, granted, but not so fun for spectators when everything's so perfect and it's just a train with the occasional pass. So back to me and my slightly above average driving. Just that's a disclaimer, you know, this is a mistake not a lot of people made, but this is one I made, so maybe it might be worth you guys knowing. Rewind the clocks back about 2 years now. I got the Fanatec V3 pedals. I thought this was amazing. I could finally set my threshold of 80% and not go over it thanks to this new space station grade load cell technology. Amazing. Naturally, with load cells, the muscles in your leg get stronger, and so do those muscles have the human condition they wanted more. So I bought the Fanatec V3 performance kit thinking it would give me more performance or something, and more than likely this is pretty rational because the V3s do come with these little foam inserts, whereas the V3 performance kit actually comes with some elastomers, the next stage into the whole braking rabbit hole. So the V3 performance kit is basically stronger elastomers, and I found the nicest combo to be basically all of the hardest elastomers. It's 2 elastomers on top of each other with the small little foam. What I did was I even got rid of that foam, chopped an elastomer in half, and I put 3 elastomers in together. Great. Now my brake had about 2 millimeters of travel. It was tough to accidentally apply too much pressure, and I was happy. Now there were hints at this time that something was wrong, because when I was braking, a lot of my rig was moving instead of my brakes. The brakes were bending up a little bit. Everything was bending on the brakes apart from the brake pedal due to how stiff it was. Now it worked, but I was dealing with 100% pressure. There was no motion, but at this time I'd convinced myself from what I had seen online that travel is bad, pressure is good, more pressure, less travel, the better. Which is pretty odd because obviously in a real car, real race car, there's a lot of travel in the brakes. So I was just thinking, you know, maybe sim racing's different and we can't have this kind of travel as braking with your ankle is a bit silly and all that, yada yada yada. Wind the clock forward about another year or so, a little bit more than a year, and guess what? I thought, you know, I'm getting weak of the load cell on my V3s, so I opted for something a bit stronger. I was looking for a much bigger load cell because, as I said, I was braking with a lot of force and I was getting a bit tired of maxing out the V3s. So I opted for the VNM pedal set, which has a 200 kilogram load cell. I thought on paper that's fine for me, thinking harder is better, surely. Guess what I did? The same goddamn thing. I made it as stiff as hell. My poor ankle's health was on the limit every time I braked. I remember doing Formula 3 races. I'd be like, ooh, my left foot feels a bit cold and wet, and my Achilles heel feels spicy. I'll just take it easy on the brakes, I guess. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm going to be honest here, you know, I had injury just kind of dancing on the line of injury. So naturally, I was starting to think something was going wrong. Naturally, when there's a problem, it usually takes it to get to a critical mass, and then you realize here, something isn't right here. So I looked at a few guides online, and I see people, for some people it seems to be that a light pedal, although you hear everywhere stiffer is better, less travel equals more speed. If you haven't heard that, fair enough, but I swear down, I've heard quite a lot of that in the sim racing community, and that's the way I started, and I was fine for a while. But fast forward to a month ago, when I finally realized what I was missing to get to the next level. My corner minimum speed was crap, too slow, and the more experience I gained, the more this was in my face, staring me slap bang in the middle of the face. I mean it. So naturally, dealing with the midsection of the corner entry played a huge role, and in my case, my issue was my trail brake. With the pedal set up the way I had it being super stiff, pressing it was nice, my threshold was very well defined, but I had zero control lifting my foot to get the precise trailing off of the pressure that I wanted. I wasn't trail braking, I was staircase braking. When you looked at my telemetry, it was jaggedy. You could see my leg trembling in my data and the telemetry because I was trying to release the pressure off the brakes. And you hear this online a lot, you know, when you press on the brakes to trail brake effectively, don't lift, press less. So, you know, all these things I'd heard made me think a strong pedal was great. until I just realized it wasn't, you know, and I started looking a bit more into other content creators, other people who are racing, not at the top level, but just people who are quick in general. And I look at their brakes and they have quite a lot of travel, like a real car. So, wind in. You know what I did? I disassembled my pedals. I went for the lightest combo. I said, you know, I'm going to do the opposite of what I think is a good idea right now, because I need a big change. And for me to go up to the next level, I felt like I was at a plateau. I felt like I needed something to change. So I went for the lightest combo. I went for one yellow medium spring and two white elastomers. Just for context, with the VNM, the yellow is like a medium. There's a red one which is super thick, and there's a green one which is super light. So, and there's also, sorry, the blue one is super thick as well. I was using the blue one, and I was using a red elastomer, which this thing wouldn't even squeeze. Even if you bit it, it doesn't squeeze at all. So I swapped that out for a medium spring that you could almost squeeze it in your hands, and two white elastomers, which these things are really light. And my travel on my pedal gained a lot. But so did my control of the brakes, by a lot too. And what I found from doing this was, it wasn't like my pedal had reverted to some like potentiometer, super easy floppy pedal where you can just move it with your finger. It still had a lot of pressure. I had to get used to it as I'd gone too far down the pressure rabbit hole, but I still had pressure, so I could still press less, but the weight pushing against my foot was so much less that I have so much more control, and I found that I could trail brake deeper into the corner, and I could get that last few percent of pressure almost right on the apex almost every single time. Now I'm still working on getting faster, and there's probably many more things that I'm going to find along the way, but this has been the biggest thing, because I was always wondering, what is it that's going to get me from this 2.5k iRating area to the next level? What's stopping me from just getting that last bit of speed? When I look at other people fly by me in the leaderboards and they have, you know, 4 or 5 tenths on me, I'm wondering, how are they doing that? This was it for me. This was one of those little steps that I could take that could improve my drive and could improve my lap time and ultimately make me a quicker driver. Now down below, I want you to tell me, what was the thing that happened to you in sim racing, regardless of what level you're at, that made you quicker? Like a light bulb moment. If you have had any light bulb moments, let me know down below. I'm very curious to know what they are, because we all have our own, but for me this was it, is just reducing the weight of the brake pedal and making it lighter, and giving myself more leeway to be able to focus on that little bit of trail braking that I could just never hit with such a heavy pedal. So if this video even helps one person, I'd be delighted. So if it has helped you and you're running too hard of a brake pedal, let me know down below. Guys, this has been a cool discussion video, something I just wanted to talk about for quite a while, as I've been figuring this out the past month, and I've just been blown away with the results of this. So hopefully you enjoyed it, guys. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget, drop a like, comment, all that good stuff. Subscribe if you enjoyed the video and you want to stick around. Happy hunting.